Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to thank everyone for their attendance, and the minutes can reflect the role of the various trustees and staff. Let's move forward with item 3, entertain a motion for the approval of the 4-5 village board and the file, the 217 Park and Rec board, the 223 Plan Commission, the 3-8 Board of Public Works, the 310 Architectural Review Board, 315 Finance Committee meeting minutes as presented.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion and second, as always, comments, questions, clarifications on the minutes. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Anybody on the audience or on the Zoom that wishes to be heard on a non-agenda item?
Yes, I have 2.
Yeah.
Back in January, Village Administrator Tice had to have all his people reviewed for what they did the past year. And here we are, almost in May, and our village president was supposed to meet with us to discuss the review of our village administrator. And I think that should be done sometime in the first quarter. I'm just wondering when that's going to
So the
happen.
review is done. The board had asked last year that we solicit feedback through the job description, which I did, and I got feedback, and I completed the review.
So you can share that with us?
It'll be on next board meeting. Will be on it.
May.
You'll have it,
May 3rd.
but the review has been done. I've completed it with Jesse, with everybody's feedback.
Okay. My second concern is coming to the village hall the building should look great. At this time, all the bushes, there's a lot of dead stuff in it that look like they're hacked off. There's weeds growing everywhere. I know it's springtime, but it does not give a very good impression of our community for the building looking like that. I know I'm anal about it because I do gardening part-time for people. But I just think something should be done.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's move forward. Item 5, business presented by the president. Item A is confirmation of village board committee commission assignments as presented. I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item B is the assistant utility director engineer job description for the people on the finance committee. This was tabled, but the intent, and I will defer to the finance committee to agree or disagree with me, but the intent was to table to the village board with no recommendation. Does everybody in finance agree that was the
Yes.
intent? Okay, let's move forward.
And that's exactly how staff proceeded, which is why it is listed under business presented by the president versus an item under the report of finance committee, which is how the agenda has been formed. Before the board this evening is really a significant update to the existing utility superintendent's job description to reemphasize or rebrand the roles and responsibilities of this position that Director Thomas and I strongly believe would best benefit the utility portion of our organization. That being the creation of an assistant utility director / engineer job position. So under this rebranding, if you will, there's an emphasis on engineering and supervisory experience. There's a bit of a nuance where we are not specifically seeking a licensed PE. We are simply looking to strike that balance of that engineering background with a college degree. However, it should be noted that in the proposed job description, a combination of experience, professional experience and background and certifications would also make an individual eligible for the position. That said, some of the discussion points that came out of the finance committee were a request for additional comparable research, which is put together and listed here in the IFC. I believe that strongly shows, albeit difficult finding an exact match. The South Milwaukee position would probably be the closest match, if you will. But in the end, as comparable as we could find, shows our pay grade 20 assignment for this position being very market competitive. And the nuances between the different positions listed are noted by bullet points or asterisks, if you will. But the point there showing that we strongly believe that pay grade 20 is a very market competitive assignment for this recruitment, assuming that the job description is in fact approved. Another point which was discussed, and I just touched on it a bit ago, is really updating the job description of a very long tenured employee. The job description itself is actually an amalgamation of the previous utility director position and the utility superintendent position with some engineering built in as well. So as I mentioned, the updated job position does place an emphasis on engineering skills as well as, as it relates to project review, writing of project specifications, and project management and oversight. One of the very specific questions raised at the Finance Committee was that how much, in fact, does the utility spend on engineering consulting fees in a given year? On average, over the past 3 years, it has been about $440,000 a year of outside engineering contracted help. Now, I'm not here to say the creation of this job position would completely offset that. The goal of this position will be to help take the edge off of that and dial that back. There are roles and responsibilities that some of these contracted engineers conduct that, quite frankly, we couldn't afford as a staff member here in Grafton. So again, I'll be very upfront and say we are not looking to offset that 440. We're simply looking to hopefully dial that back with being able to have someone in-house to write the specifications instead of relying on an outside consultant to write specifications for us to in turn go out for bid for a project, or helping with overall project review, management, and oversight. Leadership within the utility at a little bit higher level. So the organization chart for the utility is attached where they're Director Thomas, then the current superintendent position, and then it breaks out from there where we have the field operations coordinator who has the day-to-day oversight of the field operations crew, and we have the plant operations coordinator who has the day-to-day oversight of those employees that are based in the plant, being the mechanic, the operators in the lab, etc. So the day-to-day supervisory roles falls to those operations coordinators, whether it be field or plant. And it's envisioned that this position will be able to assist Director Thomas with bigger picture administrative tasks and also providing some engineering redundancy. Since the previous director's retirement back in 2013, there has not been a specific utility engineer on staff. This would look to reinvigorate that, as historically there had always been an engineer on staff in some form within the utility. With that, I'm not going to look to go line item by line item through the job description nor the IFC. However, Director Thomas and I are here to answer any further questions on this, but really looking to touch on the points that came out of the Finance Committee discussion.
Okay, thank you. The two major points that came out of finance was to get some more comparables and also to provide what is the spend on engineering. And so you do have that included, so let's open up to any further questions that the board may have. Yes, Mr. Krieger?
In terms of engineering expenses over the last three-year period, that's probably, if we look over the long term, big picture of 10, 20, 30 years, that goes back to the last time we've done major plant improvements. So the engineering costs seem exorbitant at this point, or very high. And it's just the period of time we're in right now with a lot of engineering and replacement and upgrading of facilities that has been taking place. So I'm not sure I agree with you, Jesse, in that we're going to be able to make any kind of dent, even a small dent, in those engineering fees. I think with Tim Nennick and even with Larry Roy, we do have two very experienced individuals that have done a lot of specification. In other words, they can draw up the scope of services and have been doing that for the most part in order to employ or contract with engineers who basically just regurgitate that.
Mhm.
Maybe they'll tweak it a little bit in terms of their own experience and what they think is necessary there. But we do have people that can do that. And
Certainly.
certainly help out Amber and continue to do that.
Mhm.
And with that in mind, even though I am supportive of getting an engineer, I also think that we have an existing employee that's more than capable of at least being considered for the job. I said it at the last meeting, I think you're gonna have some difficulty finding an engineer that will be able to do any kind of engineering and or oversight, but also be in charge of a wastewater plant, even the big picture, and have the certifications required by the state of Wisconsin. It could be pretty tough to do that. And at any, in any event, I think there's going to be a learning curve
Certainly.
for whoever you bring in. And that's
Certainly.
why I kind of, I would kind of look at existing employees or employees that may have, and we have one, Larry, he's here tonight, that I think could fit in. He's been with the utility for a very long period of time.
Absolutely.
He's not only gained a lot of experience on the job, but he has gone out of his way to upgrade his skills and his background as well. And I give him credit for that. I think he should be considered. So.
Okay.
And you are correct in the aspect that we do have an existing employee, which is,
Let's not deviate from the
sure.
actual topic.
No, but the job description, no, to the
Right.
point, Trustee Krieger's point, the job description is written in a way that does allow that historical experience and that on-the-job qualification to make us somebody eligible for this. And as a matter of fact, Director Thomas and I did meet in person with Mr. Roy about it, and we said exactly that. By no means, should this move forward, would I discourage an existing employee's application, not at all.
I just want to make sure everybody understands, we're not creating a job description for an individual. We're creating a job description to fill a need as perceived and relayed by our department head of public works. I think Lisa had hand up. Okay, Lisa?
I have a couple of concerns. The first time I saw this, Jesse, I was a little worried because, obviously I don't know the specifics of what Tom had done when he was the administrator or the director there. And then Tim stepped into that job and I don't know the specifics, but Tim did that job for all these years since Tom's been gone. And he, primarily did the water and wastewater. And it looks like what we're asking for now is we're going to look for somebody to do, as I understand it, what Tim was doing, but then also try to provide some engineering emphasis to help water, wastewater, and I believe public works too. Because I think there's a lot of, engineering needs in public works.
There's
Some of
crossover,
the
certainly.
public works issues separate from water and wastewater. So, I picture this one position that used to be done by one person. Now it's kind of a 1.5 position job. And I fear that that would take away from the water and wastewater department. And if that's the intention, with possibly saying to the field operations person and the facility operations person, well, you two are going to kind of be in charge now more so than before, because our new position, we're going to be kind of lending that person a little to, for engineering issues. So that was a concern of mine.
Certainly, yep.
I kind of feel like we're asking for, the world, of course, because we want to do more with less or the same amount of money. And my concern is also that we're not going to find somebody like that. If we need somebody in engineering, then maybe that's what we should be looking for. If we're looking at engineering to help in public works, is it on the top level? Do we need some engineering help boots on the ground, out in the field with projects, I don't know.
Sure, sure.
But if it's really engineering we need to look at versus administrative, maybe that's something we can continue to kind of outsource now and talk about it, budget. The other concern I have is looking at the list of the costs. Under consulting engineering for 2020, it's very general. There's, no specifics, $250,000. And then one of the things that's listed is the engineering design for the 17th Avenue lift station, the Headworks design engineering program. I mean, we wouldn't have done the Headworks problem in-house, would we have? Don't we really need specialty people to do that?
Definitely.
Okay, so that $360,000 is not really something we would have saved on our end, I didn't think.
No, but as I mentioned, we're not looking to completely offset that 440 number,
Right.
not by any stretch of the imagination. I want to be very clear about that. My goal here would be to take the edge off of that. Maybe it's only 400, maybe 340, but take the edge off of that by having some in-house expertise in the utility. And to your point exactly, Trustee Harbeck, there would be some crossover because we do utilities underneath roads. Where Amber's engineering the road, we could have this person focused on the engineering of the utilities underneath, and they can work together. That's what's envisioned here. So there would be some crossover to your point, but I'm not looking to completely take away from Director Thomas's tasks as the village engineer with
No, I'm
this.
not saying that.
No.
I mean, I know that there's more work that's coming
Mhm.
up. We've got these subdivisions coming in, and at
Absolutely.
some point we'll be full up again.
Yep.
And we won't need additional assistance with that. But I guess I'm worried about, there are projects going on now. So
Yes.
if we need engineering, then that's what we need, engineering, that's it. Maybe we should look at something like that. Maybe we should look at that for the budget this year, if we're gonna be looking at something like that for the next few years.
Certainly.
Instead of, I think we're trying to save money, of course, and trying to give 2 jobs to 1 person. So I worry about trying to spread it too thin. And if we really need engineering, we need to look at that. We need to look at, what's happening now, what's going to happen in the future. I don't feel comfortable for myself to vote for this because I feel like there's so many unknowns. Because I know you said, put it out there and see what we get. And I fear that we put it out there and see what we get, and now we have this new job title.
Mhm.
And then we can't get somebody for this amount of money, and now we're talking about the pay scale. And now we're off on a whole nother tangent, if what we were really talking about in the beginning was engineering.
That you are spot on, and I will own the fact that I am setting the bar high with this job description. I am purposely looking to find an excellent asset for the organization. And I guess I'm taking the tact, again, to be very upfront with the board, of setting that bar high. If my recruitment efforts and my ability to attract talent that's in accord with this job description doesn't work out, I have to come back before this board and explain that my efforts didn't work. We need to dial it back. So part of my job is to look at our organization, try to evaluate our needs. How can we, exactly to your point, cost effectively meet those needs to the best of our abilities? And I am taking a strong approach with this very purposely, knowing full well, I could be sitting here in 60 days in front of the board, re-explaining myself why we have to dial this back based upon feedback I've gotten.
And I think that's what any good business does. You put together your wish list. This is your preferred
It is.
job description. You're opening it up to anyone that wants to apply. And you're gonna look at that variety, it comes through and you're gonna pick the best one and make them an offer and see where it lands. That's what companies do.
Right, and Amber, I mean, you've been pretty instrumental in all, in this whole effort. I mean, is this the position that you're looking for?
Yeah, this is, I've been here for almost 5 years. This is my best opinion, day in and day out, of the best skills that would be in the perfect applicant, right? We may not get the perfect applicant, but if we do, they would have all of these skills. If we get applicants that are close and, come in and interview and do a great job and seem like they would be a great fit personality-wise, and that we have a number of the skills we're looking at, we might end up hiring someone that doesn't have quite all these qualifications. But I definitely would like to try to get the most qualified individual that we absolutely
I
can.
guess Thank you very much. I'm not really, my point was, the people who may apply or not apply is a secondary topic to the job description. Is the job description, in your estimation, the position that you want and need based on your professional experience right now?
Yes,
Okay, that's all I need to hear. This is a policy board. This is not a management day-to-day operations board. And to me, that's the question I need to have answered. Any other questions?
Jesse, your main concern is, I assume you say, to be cost effective.
Yes, sir.
And I think we have an employee at the water department already and an employee at DPW that could serve us well and be cost effective.
Correct. And at the same time, we have an excellent opportunity here to cast a wide net to see if we can in fact obtain those additional skill sets or that additional professional background in engineering. And within the same economical confines or fiscal confines within, no pay grade adjustment is being proposed as part of this. And again, thinking about the needs and wants expressed by the director, myself at arm's length, thinking about our organization, what could serve us, some of that engineering redundancy, and what have you, is really the background of bringing this forward. The fiscal responsibility side of it is looking to stay within that pay grade. I mean, the village has just recently gone through a handful of rate adjustments, and hopefully we're in a good place with that. And again, trying to be fiscally responsible there, not looking to bump up that pay grade, not looking to creep up on the director's pay grade. So that's where the fiscal side of things comes into it.
I think that you provided comparables. And I think that, that in itself speaks for itself. I mean, you're looking at, similar, obviously, like you said, it's different flavors of apples, but it's apples to apples. And I think that you validated that, based on the request from finance, that we get something a little bit more local and additional comparables. I think that's been provided. So fiscally responsible, I think you basically are doing just due diligence.
Mhm.
Is that you're validating that the job description and the pay grade they're putting in has industry comparables in our area.
And I agree with that, being fiscally responsible and try to get the most you can. So I hope that works out. But again, one of my biggest worries is you now have this person who has this whole extra job onto their, wastewater, water utilities supervisor, assistant director. And so that's a concern of mine.
Understood. And that is definitely on us as the hiring agency to make it abundantly clear. And actually, that is one of the very first questions I ask in any job interview, regardless of what position we're hiring for. Have you taken the time to review the job description? Because we want to be very clear as an employer who we're looking for, what we're looking for, what the roles and responsibilities are. So definitely that is on us as the employer.
Dan has a question.
Yeah, no, good. Anything else? All right, then I will entertain a motion to approve the assistant utility director engineering job description.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion, second, final comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Show 2 nay, motion passes. Let's start recruiting. All right, let's move on to item 6, resolutions, ordinance, action items. Item A is a resolution approving requesting support for strong state and local partnerships for shared revenue. And that is in the form of a resolution. Offer.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. It's pretty self-explanatory. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That resolution passes. Let's move on to item B, report of the finance committee. We have items 1 is a motion to recommend the village board approve the outer state training for the school resource officer be approved.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And for those who are, I think everybody was at it, but this is going to be a split cost.
Yes.
So, I think it was pretty minimal. I think it was like $1,000 or something like that. It wasn't too much. Any questions? Definitely is a valid, program. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 2 is a motion to recommend the village board approve the extension of the intergovernmental agreement for temporary fire department administrative oversight and operational assistance between the village of Sockville and village of Grafton, contingent upon approval by the village of Sockville Village Board be approved.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Do you have any updates if the village of Sockville has taken action?
I believe they're actually meeting tonight.
Okay. Motion and a second. Final comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, motion passes. All right, that's item 3. Obviously, we have already discussed. No action needed there. Let's move on to item C, report of the Board of Public Works. Item 1 is a motion to approve the request for time extension to CD Smith, including a 60-day extension for the substantial completion and the 30-day extension for final completion. With CD Smith responsible for 50% of the actual engineering cost during this time frame, and with the understanding after revised completion dates, the contract language for liquidated damages will still be applied, be approved.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and second. There is a lot of detail in the minutes, so this is regarding the Headworks project. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 2 is a motion to approve the proposal for engineering services for the 2021 sewer rehab project with Applied Technologies Incorporated for a total cost not to exceed $40,560 with pre and post flow measurement comparisons and an increase to the insurance liability limit be approved.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. And the pre and post I saw came from you, so that was a good suggestion. Do you have a question?
I do have a comment though on the way the motion is worded.
Okay,
So, the part that was added concerning, pre and post, project, flow monitoring, that was kind of an in-house understanding. That is not something included in the contract with Applied Technologies. Whereas the increase in liability insurance to the village's requirements is part of,
okay.
should be part of that motion.
I read it, but the minutes could be misleading. So what do you feel the motion should be?
The correct motion should be just scratch the with pre and post flow measurement comparisons. That's something the Board of Public Works will be looking to and handling at our meetings in the future.
Okay, people that are on the Board of Public Works agree with that? Village, people who made the motion and second agree with that change to the motion?
Yes.
I don't know who made the
Dan.
second. Second, okay. All right, so then the updated motion will be, motion to approve the proposal for engineering services for the 2021 sewer rehab project with Applied Technologies Incorporated for a total cost not to exceed $40,560 with an increase to the insurance liability be approved.
Make a motion to approve.
Now that motion and second is already made. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Let's move on to item 3. Item 3 is a motion to approve the Grafton Water and Wastewater, TIA. What is that short for? Water and wastewater. Treatment, okay, Edwards upgrade gateway integration proposal with Hooker and Noki for a total cost not to exceed $56,500 be approved.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any comments, questions on that item? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Motion, item 4 is a motion to approve the Village of Grafton Development Stormwater Management Review Policy dated April 19, 2021 be approved.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Comments on that?
Question.
Okay.
Should it be April 19th or should it be dated today, April 20th?
Thank you, I was gonna say that, if you can change it to April 20th. We had yesterday's date on there.
Okay, we have a motion and second. The people who made the motion and second agree to that change?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 5 is the motion to recommend the village board enter into a contractual agreement with Vector of Wausau, Wisconsin, to perform the DNR required 2021 safety inspection and report preparation for the Bridge Street Dam for an amount not to exceed $2,900 be approved.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Item 6 is the motion to recommend the village board approve purchase of a dump body, plow, wing, and hydraulic system with an anti-acing tank to be mounted on a 2021 58,000 CBW truck chassis from truck equipment of Green Bay for an amount not to exceed $107,180 be approved.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Move on to item 7, chairman and officers report. Jesse, you want to get us started?
Absolutely. On the dais this evening, I provided a copy of the letter that the village attorney, Director Thomas, and I worked together to craft to, in essence, put waste management on notice regarding unsatisfactory service delivery throughout the village, noting the issues we have witnessed, and really what this letter serves to do is, under the service contract we operate in accord with, this draws a proverbial line in the sand, if you will. This puts them on notice, and we can move forward in accord with that service contract. And it very clearly outlines our concerns and directs them to remedy those said concerns as soon as possible. So wanted to make the village board aware of that and provide a copy of that letter that went out in today's mail. Also wanted to touch on, and this was actually in one of my weekly bulletins previously, where we continue to work hard to attract and recruit seasonal employees. Public Works, Parks and Rec, throughout the pool operations. We're slowly inching towards meeting our goals, but we are slightly behind. So we may end up beginning the year having to utilize staff, more regular full-time staff, to do menial things like mow the lawn and whatnot, because we are short, because we simply aren't getting applications. We did a quick straw poll, nothing formal, and we are competitive with regards to seasonal pay. But that said, we're simply just not seeing the applications for whatever reason. And this is in the various areas. Our community development internship has been posted for some time, and we have not had any inquiries about that at all, where we've consistently over the last couple of years, when we've had that position in place, 2 or 3 applicants. So it is actually across the wide ranging of seasonal or internship type of job openings that we have. So just struggling in that area. However, dovetailing off of that with a positive note, I'm happy to report that right now, trying to leverage some creative thinking to help out with the oversight of our park and rec, or excuse me, our pool operations this summer. I have been in contact with retired Director John Sastrom and received a verbal okay that he would like to help us out in the form of pool management. So I have in his hand a very specific employment agreement, seasonal employment agreement, that sets forth specific duties to oversee pool operations. As I've reported to the board in the past, I'll be stepping in as the quasi-department head for the Park and Recreation department, but there are some very specific nuances in my learning curve that clearly the pool operations, I don't believe I would be able to keep up with. And so again, Director Phelan and I trying to think outside the box, how can we best address this need? Because quite frankly, we are going full speed ahead with our plans on opening up the pool for this community this summer. Barring any major change in public health related data, we will be able to open the pool this year safely, we believe, with appropriate precautions. But that day-to-day oversight and management, clearly we would look to fill that role. So I'm happy to report to the board, I have a verbal right now. I'm hoping to have a signed contract soon, but it's a pretty significant step forward in helping with that aspect of those operations for the summer. So some good news there mixed in with a little bit of seasonal help difficulties that we're seeing in other areas. So that is my report this evening.
Paul, Amber, or Chief, anything you wish to share with the board?
No, I just wanted to let you all know, with the results of the verdict from the trial today, we've increased our staffing tonight. We're working with the local agencies around our area. We've got an operations plan in place. So if you see, upwards of 10 to 12 cops running around here tonight, that's why. So,
All right, any questions for Jesse or any of the other department heads? Dan?
Yeah, Amber, just maybe something you want to add on to this waste management letter, but the incident over on 9th and Hickory on Mr. Tillman's property,
Yes.
as I last checked, the dumpster's still there. And we also have some folks who are using that dumpster for the disposal of their construction materials. So I thought they were supposed to have had that picked up by now, but there does seem to be a lot of topsoil scraping along in that dumpster. I don't think it's topsoil, I think it's fill that they put in there, but you may want to add that on there. I mean, they just left a big dumpster there after they dumped out their truck.
You're right, and I followed up with them last week to have it picked up, and obviously it still hasn't been, so.
Yep. Thank you, Amber.
Lisa?
Jesse, is there, are we gonna open the senior center?
We're working on that. I'm very happy you actually asked that question. Trustee Harbeck, Director Phelan actually forwarded me a spreadsheet of area senior centers and what they have, what their offerings are currently. And so over the course of the next week, I'll be meeting with Director Phelan to go through and look to see what we can do to match up. Currently, Grafton is the most conservative on this chart, and this chart includes feedback from Cedarburg, Port Washington, Kenosha, Germantown, Menominee Falls, Jackson, Brookfield, and Sussex. And we are in fact the most conservative at this point. That said, I believe there are safe options that we can offer and look to open up those doors and increase those services. So that is forthcoming in pretty short order.
And my other question is, so we're having trouble finding people to cut the grass.
Mhm.
And I think last year, we kind of cut back on that a little. Is there any way we could just try to, add a little more to the pot for that and make it a little bit more per hour? Even if it's a couple bucks, that might get somebody more involved.
Sure.
Or something,
Sure.
yeah. hire
We can look to be creative here as we go. We do have a seasonal scale. So if someone comes back in year 2, they bump up that scale. If someone has experience, I'm actually, and I've discussed this with folks, that I'm happy to offer that little bit more instead of automatically starting at that year 1. But I like the idea of.
Use our own staff. 'Cause
Certainly.
I know they're busy all the time.
Absolutely. We just want to make sure we do our best to keep up. And I just want to make the board aware of that may be a necessary evil, so to speak, for the
Okay.
short term until we can get up to full speed, up to full staff with that seasonal help. But we do continue to actively, we've reached out to all of the universities, tech schools in the area. We've put information in with the high school as well. And so we're doing everything we can to get the word out there. And I like the idea of being even more creative with it. Absolutely.
What are we paying to start?
Oh, goodness.
Is it
Oh,
only like
I'm
$10
sorry, I
or
don't-
I think
something?
I want to say 1039, 10 something.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have that specific number with me.
It's over 12.
That's why Walmart's hiring at 15. So
Yes.
it's probably-
Everybody's hiring around 15.
Oh, so yeah, maybe.
Okay.
jack it up a
So
little bit.
maybe it is in fact time to revisit the seasonal scales. I simply looked at it in the context of what we're offering compared to like a Cedarburg or Port Washington.
Yeah.
I didn't even, quite frankly, I didn't even think about what are we offering compared to Walmart
Yeah,
or
I
private
don't
side.
know either.
Very good point.
Question on the Jessica's intern.
Mhm.
Where do we post that?
We posted that on our website. We sent that out to area universities and tech schools. It is a pretty vanilla community development type of internship. We are not looking for necessarily a intensive urban planning background. Really, we're looking at kind of that broad, maybe environmental science or urban planning or what have you, to really help with in-house things and get exposed to what does building inspection entail? What does assessment entail? What are some of the records that are kept? So it's really a pretty broad-based, and I'm not trying to downplay it, but more of a vanilla type of internship. It isn't truly a very specialized type of.
Require on-site presence?
Yes, they help in-house here with everything from answering phones to filing to shadowing. So yes.
I didn't know if a remote offering would make it more attractive.
We need the help in-house. Part of it is with some of those administrative tasks.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
Other questions? Yes, Rob.
I may have missed the update with my recent absence, but is there an update on the police department building and award of that contract? What has happened with that?
I have being out and kind of off the grid over the course of primarily the last week here. I do not have an update on that. I would have to check back with staff. I don't mean to put you on the spot,
We're
but
talking about the engineering study.
Yes.
Yeah, so we did receive, just this week, as a matter of fact, a response back from, Garland with regard to the scope of work. So we do have that. I have yet to be able to get a hold of anybody on a reference list, so, you know, I sent emails, called them, and nothing. So I'm sure they're extremely busy, but, you know, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. All right, let's move on to item 8, licenses. We have a request for operator's license, one individual and the place of employment. Entertain that motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. And item 2, item B is a motion to approve the expansion of premise for the liquor license establishment of the Bridge LLC doing business as Bridge Inn at 1216 Bridge Street for the date of June 19th from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Comments, questions?
Question.
Go ahead.
So, expansion of premises, does this include just that small pop-up tent area where they will be serving beer from? Would there actually be consumption in the parking lot, or how is this, their expansion of their license apply to what's actually going on there?
So, I mean, they'll fence it off, right? And they'll have a tent, and then, yes, there's no separate.
They'll have what?
They'll be fenced off, so you can't access it. You have to access it usually from the, you know, I think it's the gazebo area or whatever they call it, the glassed in area. And then, they'll have a tent, and then they'll serve alcohol.
yes, it does need to be segregated from, it cannot
But
be.
I was looking for
Yeah.
a fence on this map here, or some type of delineation.
Yeah, it has to be fenced off.
Okay, that's all I was looking for.
Did you take a motion?
Yes.
Motion and
Yes.
second, all in favor?
Question, right?
Oh,
No, I'm good.
okay. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 9 is report of the bills. Entertain a motion for the approval of $871,641.32.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, I only saw one back and forth. So any questions on the bills?
I just have one, I'm sorry. Jesse, and I don't expect you to tell me this answer right away. Batch 2, page 3, the cleaning service, the clean source. So I'm just a little curious why, the cleaning for the village hall, there's 2 entries, and they're different from each other. So one is $700, and one is $741.83. And I would think that would just be a straight $700 every time you clean.
Yeah, I can, yeah, absolutely, and I can report back to the board on that.
Yeah,
I do not have a specific on that, but.
Okay.
Motion second, other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Item 10, motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.
So I.